Now that we've got this done, we're going to let it dry overnight, and then we will flip it over and do the top structure. All right, we're back again. It's dried now, and we're going to start doing the upper part of the cave. We're going to take a piece that I cut out of an extra piece of the boarding that we had in the mountain kit, and we'll have something to work on. That'll give us a nice support so that we can put the paper in on top of it. Okay, now that we've got the top on there, we're going to flip it over so that we can get inside and put the paper wads in there like we did before. Only we're going to have to invert it, so we'll do that now. Okay, now we can go on with the plastering, now that we've got the paper wads in place.
Depending on the size of your project, you may need to use additional plaster cloth and casting plaster.
Okay, now that we've got that done, we can flip it back over and start doing the top. All right, now you can see our plastering is all finished. Next thing we're going to do is to start putting on the rocks. We're ready to go now, and as you can see, we've got a lot of rocks laid out in front of us. We made those just a little while ago by mixing up 6 tablespoons of the casting plaster to 2 tablespoons of the water, mix it up, pour it into the dish, or the tray rather, and about 2 to 3 hours later, you can pop them out and they're all done. That will make up 2, maybe 3 batches. We got a little excessive. I went and got a little more plaster because I want a lot of rocks on there. So do it however you feel, but there is enough to do a nice without it. Now when you go to put these on, as you noticed, it doesn't fit there. So take your little X-Acto knife and just make an indentation where it's going to be. And that'll give you something for it to sit into and dampen the plaster all the way around. And the reason you do that is when you go to cement it on, if you don't have the plaster already damp, it will suck all the moisture out of your cement and it won't stick. So take a little scrap of plaster cloth, wad it up, stick it on the back and pop it into position. And then I come back with extra plaster cloth and just fill it in around the edges so that it becomes part of the hillside. And you continue on throughout the whole process.
If you have a heavy project, you can reinforce your project base by cutting a piece of cardboard to size and gluing it to the underside of your project base.
You know, the placements of the rocks, it's good to have an idea of approximately where you want, but feel free to, as you do this, change your mind. You know, be loose with it and have a good time with it. Okay, there we have it. We've got all of our rocks on now. And now that we've got the rocks on, the one thing we have to do yet is still make a few little stalactites that are put up tight to the ceiling. And you do that with some plaster cloth, so we'll have to cut just a little bit extra yet, and we'll get that in a second. Let's get on with the interior portion and do the stalactites and mites in there and any other formations you want to form. Might even form a ribbon rock, which is what I'm going to try to do right now. I took a piece of plaster cloth, just fold it over, and we'll run it through and then give it a slight bend like this, and then cement it into the top of the roof and down at the bottom so it keeps the curve in there. Okay, that worked out pretty good. Now we ought to try some of the stalactites. Remember, a stalactite is the one that sits on the ceiling, that it sits tightly to the ceiling. We're going to do that by dipping it in the water and smoothing it and kind of twisting it into a more of just a ribbon type piece pointed towards the bottom. And then leave yourself a piece up the top where you can just stab at it, stick it right up on the top there. Just like that. Oh, now that's looking really, really good. If I say so myself. Now we got to go to the stalagmites, and those are the ones that are on the bottom that might meet up to the stalactites. So take smaller pieces now, a little heftier, and just kind of wad them up. What you want to make is kind of like a little spike that's going to sit on the ground underneath the other ones. Does that look good, huh? That is terrific.